Well, hello and good morning, everybody. I was about to say welcome to Aquarius Rising Africa, but this ain't Aquarius Rising Africa. This is Solutions with Chantelle Mayberg. And I think I should just call it Chantelle and the team, because it really is all of our solutions here. So welcome and thank you for joining us all on our maiden voyage for this amazing journey we're on. And yeah, before I even we start, I would just love to introduce to you guys the rest of our core team. A very special bunch of, well, you know, Mornay. So I was about to say ladies, but you're not a lady, but you already, everyone knows you from Aquarius Rising Africa, but then the ladies that have just entered this equation, which is amazing. So I want to introduce you to Thea, right at the top there, who is wonderful because that's the lady who is coordinating the channels at the moment. So Aquarius Rising Africa as well as Solutions. And it's wonderful to have you on board. Thea has been, I actually only recently met you. Thea came onto our radar, call it that, when we started Aquarius Rising Africa and was a viewer and often commented, and I immediately liked Thea, I have to say. And then we started doing the Sun Kids training, and she was definitely one of those that was handpicked to do the job, one of the jobs. So Thea would be welcoming and just so good to have you. And I'm going to give you guys a chance to introduce yourselves and as we go around and what have you. But let me just get the introductions out of the way from my side. And then there's Doro. Well, she's appearing on the screen as Dorothea. There's two Theas, Dorothea and Thea. They're both Dorotheas. But Doro is from Germany. And I met Doro 3 years ago, actually, in Thailand when we were doing our Thailand travel. She was doing a stint in Thailand as well. And our very good friend, Olav, she's a friend of Olav's as well, my good buddy, who I, in fact, I spoke to him this morning. I was so happy, who I was traveling with, and he's this top-notch skydiver, and really helped me get out of my comfort zone in amazing ways. So I don't know why I'm speaking about Olav, but he's worth the mention for sure. Yeah, Mona, you know him as well. In fact, Mona introduced Olav and me in Namibia. When I went to my first skydive, actually, Olav was the one that formed me. And that's how we became friends. So that's where it began. And that's how I met Doro, actually. So Doro has been, Doro's...
I just wanted to say he's the inventor of free flying. You have to add that into the equation. He learned to fly in the air, so he's an amazing guy. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, in fact, I think Olav is my age now, which will make him 56. He's like a month younger than me. But many years ago, he was actually one of these guys, the guy that normal skydiving was when people just jumped out of the airplane and opened the parachute and I don't know, whatever they did there. But Olav took it to a few next levels where he literally taught people how to fly in the sky for, I think, up to 4 minutes by maneuvering their body. And amazing stuff. I mean, in fact, I was thinking this morning, I'm definitely going to have him on as a guest on this show some point, because he's got this incredible mind and literally, as I said, taught people how to fly in the sky, just maneuvering their body and in different ways. And he calls it free fly your mind. Yeah. So he definitely taught me how to free fly my mind in many, many, many ways. And I think I taught him how to free fly his emotions as well.
Yes.
He's mine as well. So yeah, as I said, I spoke to him this morning and it's so wonderful to chat to him. And he's like saying, well, Thailand's borders are open, you can come back. And I'm going, I ain't going there while I've got to have this or anything up my nose telling to prove I'm healthy. So for the moment, we shall talk on Zoom. We'll be free flying our mind in that way. Anyway, so this is where I met Doro, because Doro knew Olav also from skydiving and stuff like that. And Doro has been walking a path with me for about since then, 3 years ago. So also done a lot of workshops and stuff, courses, mentorship programs, and as now Doro is taking over the source alchemy aspect, which is the adult aspect of my healing practice. So working with that and organizing, I don't want to say monitoring, what's the word?
Looking after.
Looking after, there was a word also, but there's a specific word which has now slipped my mind. And then, of course, there's Viviana, who I've also known for maybe 5 or 6 years now, and you can see she's just had a little baby. Viviana is looking after the Sun Kids. So many of you know we've just finished our first Sun Kids teacher training, which everyone here has completed. But Viviana is now heading up the Sun Kids and looking after that and making sure that the Sun Kid mommies and babies and everyone are taken care of. And Valen, her little baby there, he's now 3 months old, Vivi? Yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he was born while we were in the middle of teacher training. So it's just so apt that he would be joining us on this journey as well. It's wonderful to have him. I was actually wondering if he was going to be online or awake with us today. And he's lying there like a precious little angel. So that's lovely. Yeah. I know he's been a little bit testy lately, I think. But he's growing up, but he's getting bigger and more demanding as any baby is. So welcome. And then, of course, guys, you know Mornay, who's been part of this journey with me for 12 years now. Yeah. And we've done some magical stuff together. And just wonderful to be expanding our team and you know, just reaching audiences and people far and wide. So I'm so grateful to all of you being here. So thank you for that. But then I'm just going to hand over to you guys, maybe start with you, Thea, and then Doro and Vivi, as we've sort of gone along. And Mornay, obviously, I think at the end, you would obviously have love to have some things to say as well. So Thea, over to you. What would you like to say? How are you? Who are you? Where are you? Etc. etc.
Okay, I'm Thea, like Shanti said. Also Doro, yeah, but it's confusing Shanti, so we're just sticking to Thea. Yeah, I'm just an ordinary girl with a very inquisitive mind. I am so curious. I've got Jupiter and Gemini, so my mind is busy and curious, and I'm just very thankful for the opportunity for a very healthy outlet, if I can call it that, for my curiosity. Because I've been walking around with all this information, people thinking I'm a conspiracy theorist. Well, that's the only thing I actually call myself, is a conspiracy theory. Because if someone brings a good story, I'm always like, oh yes, that brings up the conspiracy theorist in me. And then I go out. So yes,
well, I always say I would rather be a theorist than fall for the conspiracies. You know, so you know, when we see these conspiracies popping up, I'll sit and theorize them. So yeah, I'll definitely be a theorist for that.
And I do believe that a healthy mind can chew on an idea that is foreign to you. You know, you can like play with the idea and whatever. So yes, I just want to thank you for letting me join your amazing team, and I'm looking forward. Yeah.
It's not even letting you join. It's just, you know, I always say these things are preordained. Long before we even came to earth, we have this sacred contract with each other and with our creator to do what we're doing. So, you know, some of us, like, you know, I mean, in the beginning of this journey, I was the one that's got the ideas, if you will, put it together. Mornay came along and put amazing pictures, creations, made it very beautiful for kids to be able to understand the words, because I always say, you know, I was born with these ideas, and it was very difficult for me to make it tangible for people over the years. And I must say, over the last 4 or 5 years, it's been a lot easier to actually take something so intangible and make it tangible and give it a structure, and so that people can understand what we are doing, what really the alchemy is about. It's not just some old dude sitting mixing lotions and potions, and that's not at all. Alchemy comes on the inside. So really understanding those shadowy lead bits of ourselves, and then through spiritual awareness, we transmute it into gold. So it's nothing physical. And we know when we've struck that gold within, really, it's just such a beautiful feeling when that understanding occurs. So it's wonderful, wonderful. Yay. Thank you, Thea.
Yeah, I just got this image. I just want to add to that. When I came along and I had to create these images for your work, I was going through that process as well. And that's how I got these images, received these images. It was like, I finally got it. But for me, it was almost like the emotions were like little bottles of alchemy. So you're like throwing this emotion in, you take a little bit of this emotion out. So the alchemy, I see it like emotions. You throw it in like, yeah, a little bit of emotion there. Okay, now take away, put that emotion again. Yeah, but you're like playing inside your body and you're learning to understand your body. And that, I believe, what you brought into this world is so amazing, that alchemy, because it's not something out there and it's something inside, and it's amazing. And I can't wait for the day where we all, as the whole universe, the whole planet and all the human beings can actually talk this language of alchemy. That would be so amazing, because then we'll be so like communicating so beautifully and living so beautifully together. Anyway, so just
absolutely.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Cool.
And I must say, you've done a really, really great job of creating artwork and the designs, and especially for the kids, not only for the kids. I mean, I'm also, it started off first being the other stuff as well, because I think the first thing you ever did for me was the symbols on the, for the first workshop that I was running, was really changing the symbols and creating those symbols. That was really beautiful. Yeah, and from there, it then went on to, at that stage, I was busy writing, my guy. I know I was nearly finished, but I know after you and I then connected, I still added quite a few chapters, and then you were putting the artwork and the design for that, which was really, really amazing. So awesome. Come a long way since then. Wow.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, crazy days. Yeah, it's like now the foundation is laid, and I think the world is. I think we were ready too early. In a sense, we thought the world is going to be ready in 2012 already, but I think the world is really ready now.
I think that's when we started laying the foundations, definitely, the 2012, and definitely, but being Aquarians, they say we're always like 50 years ahead of our time. So, and I always say, when I was still in the womb, in my mother's womb, and I have conscious memory of that. And I've said this before, of laying in my mother's womb, and she was maybe 6 or 7 months pregnant with me. I want to go more 7 months. And I just remember seeing my toes and my fingers. And somewhere, and obviously it wasn't a thought process the way I think now, because that is a learned, language is a learned thing. But the consciousness was there that I've got fingers and I've got toes. So I must get out of here. I got shit to do. That was like the feeling. And of course, I mean, I had 3 older sisters. So I was speaking like fluently at 18 months old. I was walking around speaking, and I just was way too big for my boots. So my sisters were always giving me a hard time about that. But anyway, sure. I'm still a troublemaker in the family. And I like it that way.
But I must say, if it wasn't for that, Chantelle, stuff wouldn't get done as well. You have got a way of like getting stuff done. You get an idea and you've got a way of making it happen, finishing it off. I mean, I'm like an Aries. I'm like very Aries. It's like I get an idea and I scribble it down, and then I'm like, oh, but that idea will never come to finish. It's like, okay, now it's done. It's out of my system, you know. It's out. I've done it. It's
But
not,
you know what happens? What happens? I think with you and I as well is that we'll maybe not at exactly the same time, but at similar times we'll get ideas.
yeah.
And the thing is, I'll get an idea and I'll sit with it for a while, and sometimes I'll play around with it. Then not quite, I'll put it into abeyance. But then if I get an idea, then I go, yes, that's what we've got to run with. And then oftentimes it'll be something similar to, let's say, what you've maybe had that's you haven't run with or whatever, but then we'll take that, and that is incorporated actually into a lot of the other stuff that we're doing as well. So the ideas, yeah, I like structure, you know, even though, I mean, from an astrological perspective, you know, when you look at medieval astrology, and in ancient times, you know, Uranus is one of the newer planets. And although I'm very ruled by Uranus, in ancient astrology, you know, Saturn rules Aquarius. So Saturn is all about structure and discipline. And with that Aquarian craziness that one sometimes has, as any good Aquarian can attest to, that Saturnian energy really gives a structure, because in the zodiac, it is the wise old teacher, the wise uncle. So it pulls you down. And, you know, now, being a single mom, because I was a young mother, I had my son when I was 21. And it wasn't long, I mean, before my ex wasn't in the picture anymore, what can I say? So I was a single mom, and really my son kept me grounded. He gave me something to stay grounded for, connected for, if that makes sense. Yeah. So he gave me that sense of responsibility, which I think otherwise I probably wouldn't have had, you know, so that sense of responsibility, providing a home, providing schooling, providing whatever I needed, food, clothing, whatever I needed to provide for him. I don't always I did it in the way that he liked it. But hey, I got a granddaughter out of this so far. I'm waiting for one or two more at least. So that's I always say my granddaughter is life's bonus for being a single mom. It's such a joy to have a grandchild. Anyway, Doro, over to you. We've been chatting away here now. So tell us a little bit about you, Doro.
Yeah. Chantelle, we met in Thailand, and in that days I already taught yoga, and as you said now, my kids grounded me as well, and I thank my kids that I teach yoga, because because of them I get into touch with yoga. And when we met in Thailand, it was just like the sacred contract fulfilled. We met and we did some sound healing together, so ding dong sessions with you.
That was Olaf's word, by the way. He calls my Tibetan bowls the ding dongs.
Yeah.
So everyone in Thailand was calling my Tibetan bowls ding dong. He says, okay, you must go for a ding dong with Shanti. So yeah, that's where that comes from, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you said, with Olaf, he is a really good teacher in skydiving. I did some skydiving with him. And with you, it was the turn to the alchemy part. So it felt like every part is a puzzle, and with the alchemy, it became one. So yeah, the journey started 3 years ago, and with Art of Alchemy, but already also with conscious communication and all the other workshops I did with you. It was every time like mind-blowing and coming deeper into contact with myself. So yeah, the Sun Kids workshop is such a good thing to go on, and with the kids, with my own kids, with my teachings for yoga classes, and with all of you now in this team is just a big blessing. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Doro.
Hi, so I'm Viviana, and I've actually been living between Namibia and Germany for some time now. So that's when I actually met Shanti and Mornay when I was still in Namibia. So it was also about 5 or 6 years ago, like she mentioned. And I actually grew up very differently. So I never had any spiritual side to myself at all. My mother, she strongly only believes in that which she can see, and that's about it. So I remember my first session with Shanti even is that I didn't even know what we were going to talk about, or not even sure if I believe in this or so on. And I remember it was literally the first question she asked me. I just broke down in tears. And it's just like she pushed me on that exact button, which I needed. Like I couldn't believe it. I was just, like I was speechless. So since then, I've been on this journey and it's just been absolutely amazing. There have been so many things which I've literally learned about myself. I feel literally, if I could explain it, it's like a rebirth, but into the real me. It's like that previous me, it wasn't really, it's like you're in a cocoon the whole time. And now I'm just like this butterfly and I'm just keeping on learning and learning. And it's just absolutely amazing. Like literally as I'm speaking, I'm getting goosebumps. So it just feels so, so good, this whole journey. And I've loved every second of it and finding strength within myself and discovering things about myself. And, I'm pretty much the only one in my family, or a lot of my friends as well, that is so spiritual in a sense. Some would say that I'm very airy fairy, I guess, when I start talking about energy, but I feel that I can definitely feel the difference it makes and how I have this power within me. And it's such a gentle, beautiful power. And it's just so beautiful. So yeah, like Shanti mentioned as well, during our teacher training last year, or our soul school, I was pregnant. So I had my little Valen as well. And he was actually born on 11/11, which is very cool as well. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to it so much, sharing this with him as well, and to allow him to have all the tools he needs in this life to just really make the most of it. Yeah. So thank you so, so much, Shanti and Mornay and all of you for just being a part of my life in this journey.
Thank you for being part of mine. And I know Mornay will feel the same definitely about that. But Viviana, it's really, I also remember meeting you individually, and then you came and did one of the animal communication workshops as well there, which was truly amazing. And yeah, I just, for me, you were this slender young girl, but with this little, I love your deep voice, because that's something that resonates with me very much. I've got a deep voice, and it's almost like unusual. When I heard your voice, because I was like, whoa, there's a deep voice. And that for me is like something, it's also talks about something within. So it was really, and it's been amazing. And it's such a blessing, to watch, especially when I meet my clients that become students over time. And I watch you guys like go blossom from being this young girl, young woman, into a relationship, going through whatever you've needed to go through. And now you're a mom, and just watching you blossom, with the Sun Kids pages and stuff like that, into, this young mom. It's just beautiful. So thank you as well. Yeah. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and at Valen, I just have to tell you guys about Valen as well. When we were doing the Sun Kids Soul School training, while she was pregnant with her, Chantelle did the meditation where we sit with God, where we just sit with God for like a moment. And then Valen came in, her baby, and I just saw Valen connected within her womb. And that was how God showed me how we are connected with God, with Source. We're connected inside and outside. We're surrounded with God's love. And, and Valen was my teacher that day, to show me. So that little angel in your hands taught me something amazing that I will never forget, because every time I feel stressed out or I'm doing a little bit of breathing, then I just imagine what Valen taught me. I just go into that place where I'm like in a womb, I'm connected with God. I just feel God surround. It's like there's nothing that's not connected with God, because when you're a child and you're in your mother's womb, you share everything, every heartbeat, every thought, every nutrient. It's like you're completely supported in that womb. And that is amazing. So yeah, Valen was already a little teacher for me, for us all, I think.
Yeah, he's definitely a little teacher. He's teaching me so much as well. And I absolutely love it. You know, as frustrating or as tiring as it is at times, it's the most beautiful thing. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can imagine, you know, being a single mom of a newborn baby,
Yeah.
it's a challenge, especially when it's taxing your time and your energies and stuff like that. But yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Great. So I think today's topic, what we wanted to talk about was energy is your currency. You're right. So I mean, I know what I feel about that. And I would love to hear what you guys have to say about energy and how your energy has worked for you or against you, because, you know, currency is not necessarily always something that works in our favor, right? Especially not when you're a South African trying to go live the high life in Europe.
Yes. If you look at it that way, yes.
Exactly, you kind of get shortchanged a bit, right? But if you're a European coming to Africa, oh boy, you're onto something good there with the currency being what it is, just on a physical level. But yeah, so just this whole energy thing, I think people sometimes so misunderstand the power of energy and what it is. You know, energy can never be created or destroyed, only ever transferred or transformed. That is just the way that it is, which basically means that no matter how painful or no matter how negative experiences in our lives have been, the opportunity to turn that into gold, like we can, you know, with the inner alchemy, we can see our pain, our suffering, the negativity, etc. I mean, let's face facts. Not even God can change the past. Whatever's happened in the past has happened, and not even God can change that. And we cannot block that away, or we can for a while, and think that we can move on forever and a day and not have it affect us at some point in time. So for me, I have to say, the greatest shift in my life was when Hannes, my fiance, was killed in a hijacking. And I remember my astrologer sister said to me at the time, with my placements and things, and that was also at my Saturn return, when I was 29 years old. Yeah, I was 29 years old. And she said to me, this can either be your greatest gift or your greatest curse. You choose. And I understood then what that meant, because I then understood connecting with the guy that killed him, because as things happened, I went and I met the dude in jail after he got caught. I sat and I spoke with him. It was important for me to get that closure. And just the dream that I had the next morning told me that I'd made the shift. And it's because of that I do the work I do today, because for me it was like, what if today is your last day on earth with either yours or the person that you're close to, or a friend or a family member or something? What would you do? And that was my narrative in my mind at the time. And there was no doubt in my mind that I needed to do the work I'm doing today. And I changed a lot of things, you know. That's when I started meditating. for the first time. I started praying. I asked God what I needed to do with all of this pain that I had inside me. How did I change that around? How could I make this work? And I knew that through using my experiences to help others was what I needed to do. And I know that every person's experience is unique to them. So I couldn't label mine or enforce my experience on others, but we could use that as an example. And that's really how it began for me, you know. And I just allowed it to play things out. And since then, honestly, I just had people coming to see me more and more and more and more. And as I grew, I understood how our thoughts affected our cells. I mean, at that stage, people weren't even talking about cellular healing. And then it was like in dreams or in visualizations or in meditations, I could see how our cells were unlocked, so to speak, and releasing this light that radiated through our bodies and into our auras. And I could see how the energy was either good, like strong radiation, or poor. And I could see some auras, because that's the gift that I have, is that I see the energy, like Emmentaler cheese, as I always say, full of holes and stuff like that. And Emmentaler is my favorite cheese, but it's got holes in. And it's not a good thing when your aura has holes in. So that for me was how it began. And the more I did it, I just got closer and closer to my creator in that way. And I understood more and more things just from listening and being still and understanding and journaling and what have you. So as life went on, I then started imparting that knowledge and seeing how it worked on others. The same thing happened with the kids. I've never since being on this journey, doubted that I was on the right track. I could see all through, and from the beginning, when I had groups of students, individuals, I just saw how it benefited others. And then I started writing and creating workshops and programs and mentorship programs, you know, and really got to understand how energy is your currency. Your energy is your currency, where you get to attract or repel the things you want. So for me, it took that experience in my life to realize that. And it helped me understand how powerful our thoughts are, our emotions are, the power of thought, the power of feeling, the power of bearing a grudge. I understood, I created breast cancer for myself. I understood why I created it, how I created it. At the same time, I was bitten by a black widow spider. By rights, I should be dead. And I just asked the spider, what are you teaching me? And the spider said, transform or die. And I was very angry at the time. I was super, 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 super angry. And I chose to transform. And through these experiences, I've just learned intuitively and aligning myself with God, what I needed to learn and how I needed to apply it to my own life, because you could not apply it to someone else's life unless you've taught yourself. It's like healer, heal thyself. You know, God was teaching me, healer, heal thyself. You call yourself a healer? You say that the body is designed to heal itself? Show me what you know. And it was a beautiful journey, you know, from there onwards. So that for me is understanding how our cells are listening, the intelligence of our bodies, the intelligence of our cells. And when we are cool to ourselves, and it doesn't mean all the time, I'm not in line with myself all the time. I mean, there's some days that I can wake up and be full of nonsense. Let me tell you something. But then I take myself off to the beach. I'll take a swim. I get on my wheelie, off I zoom, come back an hour later, and I feel like a different person. I also learn how to get myself into alignment, or I do a lot of yoga as well. So for me, that has been amazing. in terms of keeping your vibration high, because we understand that whatever is in radiates out of us, and we're therefore going to attract what's in alignment. What we are feeling and thinking and putting out there, we attract. Simple. Law of attraction states energy is always going to attract the same vibration. Bam. So if you don't like what you attract, you need to change what is happening on the inside of you. So I would love to hear some of your guys' experiences in terms of that.
Oh, Shanti, for me, a few years ago, it's about 6 or 7 years ago, even though at that time I was actually very much starting to get into meditation and watching the Secrets documentary and everything. So I was playing around with all of that, the law of attraction and everything, not even understanding it actually at the time. And I was attracting so much weird energies into my life at that time. It was actually chaos, to be honest. And then my house burned down through this time. And I had lots of I had a very difficult manager at work as well, and she just brought out the fierce, very angry person in me all the time. She would like just know which button to push to get that one out. And I couldn't understand. And then the house burned down and I got a new place, and the dude ran away with my deposit money, and my kids was not with me at the time. They were living with family. I was living with Eugene at that time, just so that I can find my feet. But that really, for me, was when I started to quiet down. When be still. Actually, the day before the house burned down, my Facebook status was be still. That was my Facebook status. So,
Wow.
yeah, so I had to do a lot of internal investigation to see why and what is it in me that is attracting all of this. I mean, fire, yes, it purges, and trust me, it did a hell of a lot. And but it's aggressive, So I had to see inside me what is it, and it's actually been a journey ever since, trying to figure myself out. What is it that I'm doing that attracts this, and saying or feeling, Sometimes we don't really pay attention to what we feel more than we pay attention to what we think, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a journey. And when I started my astrology course, my teacher there, she started putting it nicely in place about how to work with your energy and how to not give your energy away and how to protect your energy. So since then, it started to really fall into place. Never mind some kids doing that in the Art of Alchemy, that like just all the cherries on top, So yeah, it's been quite a journey figuring out how to direct my energy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing because when we do stuff like the Sun Kids stuff, for example, I mean, all of us sitting here have been on that journey. And boy, a lot of the students came on thinking, okay, well, we're just going to get notes. And
No.
yeah, it's an internal journey. So lots of hop, skipping and jumping, which is very, very interesting. But it's beautiful because at the end of the day, we see what it's about and we see what we need to be shifting, which is lovely. Yeah.
It's not a soul school. It's not called a soul school for nothing. You're not going to come here and just think you got to like learn something with the mind. The soul needs to learn. So it's like, but Chantelle, that's like all your workshops, even your animal communication workshops. People come there and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to speak to animals. And then suddenly the first day, oh my God, I have to forgive my mother. I don't want to forgive my mother. I don't even want to talk about my mother. I will talk to animals. If I have to make
exactly. Because it's those blockages.
Yeah, it's those blockages.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, sorry, I'm completely off my track now. Sorry, you carry on.
Sorry, yeah. Yeah, but anyways, like you were saying, Chantelle, it's like the blockages. When you want to talk to an animal, you have to open up your heart. And when you have to open up your heart, it takes a lot more than when you think. A lot more.
Yeah.
I know now what I
Absolutely.
wanted to say. Sorry. It's through that time as well, Monet, that I've realized that I've got a lot of forgiveness to do. When my house and everything burned down, I realized that there was a lot of pinned up anger, and I needed to forgive a lot of people, including myself. So yeah, forgiveness is key.
Mostly yourself, really. And that's what we understand, when we go, and forgiveness is a very tough journey for most of us, because we tend to make it about the other person. But then again, when we start looking at the whole law of attraction and understanding that everyone comes into my path because they are a mirror for me, there's an aspect of me that needs to be looked at through the lens of that person, so to speak. So when we realize, well, that person was really just reflecting my own inability to heal my own heart. It's just a reflection of my own broken heart, or a reflection of my own self-betrayal or self-deception. We attract people who betray and deceive us when we are in self-deception ourselves. So at the end of the day, that's just a mirror, and that's not always an easy thing. In fact, I've never come across it being easy for anyone, and especially not myself. It's very easy to, as I say, blame and bliksem. That's Afrikaans word, which it really has no translation, but blame and, I don't know, beat up would be the other person. At the end of the day, it's a reflection of how we are blaming ourselves and beating up on ourselves, actually, for things we should be calming down about, and really just being in love with ourselves at this point in time. So we realize that that person is a teacher for us, and that's when we start doing the work of the learner, teacher, teacher, learner. Because that's fundamentally everything in life is the learner, teacher, teacher, learner. It can be nature, it can be an animal, it can be your child, it can be your best friend, it can be your mom, your dad. Often we don't like our teachers, do we? That's reflective in school. So it's about understanding, okay, I've chosen this person in my life. I have a sacred contract with this person, whether I like it or not, whether I'm conscious of it or not. That is the way that it works. So let me calm my farm in my mind. Let me take a breath and let me say thank you for showing me what I need to see within myself. And that's where the healing begins. That's where the alchemy lies. So it's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the step into my own power. So the step to, okay, outside is there, but to step inside and to see inside, look inside, and be open for the things that go on inside. There was so much like pressure from outside that I felt, oh, I have to be like this or that, and I was running a lot, but always away. And the moment we met, the journey started to look inside and to step in my own power and to find balance in this way. Not to do only one thing, then to see, okay, there's time for doing yoga, there's time for starting the daily routines with meditation, breathing, and trusting the own way, the inner feelings.
I think that if I think about you, Doro, one of the first things that I remember about you was amazing, because you were super energetic when I first met you. Definitely, you were very typically, and I say this with love, that ungrounded, like just like the what I imagine. I'm not saying that's you, the skydiver kind of person that just wants to be jumping out of airplanes and just like not being on earth, Yeah. So, but then I remember after our first sound journey with the Tibetan singing bowls, and these bowls, oh my gosh, they are so potent. And what I've discovered lately is that I can do them via Zoom, which is amazing, actually, with the meditations and stuff we've been doing. It's incredible how they're actually working. But anyway, and I thought to myself, okay, well, what I wanted to do with you was just do a sound journey first before we even had any form of talking or connecting or counseling or anything, and leave it for a day or two, and then we would start the talking and the counseling and the mentoring, you know, because those sound bowls really bring everything into alignment, which is really, really beautiful. And you came to me, I think it was a day, maybe two later after we did it. And you said, do you think because of this, that's happening in my life?
Yeah.
And I went, smart chick. She caught on quick. And I went, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, and I can honestly say that was the turning point for you to shift the stuff that you needed to shift, was that understanding what it was that was blocking you from achieving what you needed to achieve.
Yeah.
So that was beautiful, that understanding. And, you know, that's where it really is. You know, the other night when we were on the talk with Amanda, them and Zandre and that crowd, they talk about repentance. You know, you got to repent about certain things, like when, you know, especially when we're talking about this and we want to be cleared and detox the blood for those that have already done it. The first thing is about repenting. Now, for me as well, repentance has many meanings, you know, but repenting is really acknowledging where I've gone wrong. And it's that acknowledgement of what needed to change and the willingness to change it. You see, that's the thing. It's not just the acknowledgement, but it's also the willingness to change it. So when there's a willingness that goes along with that, it means you've actually heard what you need to hear. And then you start heeding the call. And I mean, I can't believe where you're at now, Doro. It's just amazing. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I actually remember when I used to live with Mornay. So when I moved in with Mornay, it was during this time when we were living together that I had my rebirth. So in the beginning, I was still not familiar with any of these things. And I remember I used to play the blame game quite often, you know, like always give the blame to someone else for problems in my life. That was like one of my things. And I love to whine. So Mornay was the one I would whine to. And I remember Mornay, he always used to just tell me like very straightforward, like, listen, you're the only one to blame for this. You know, you put yourself in this position. And I used to get so mad. I'm like, you're my friend. You're supposed to be on my side and all of this. And here he is telling me I'm the one at fault. So, and it was only after some time, it was like one day, you know, all of a sudden it was just like, whoosh, and things just fell into place. And I could see exactly what he meant, you know, how we get ourselves into these situations. So you're literally, you don't have anyone to blame. This is all, you have this power and you have it within you. And it was one of the most empowering things was going through that, you know, to see that shift within myself, to know that now I'm not a victim to anything. You know, I've created something for myself. I've attracted it. I can get through it. If there's something that is uncomfortable, I've got the power to get myself out of it. Or, you know, if I don't have the physical power, just to change my perception of what's going on. So it was the most amazing thing. And yeah, I never really had a big like tragedy or something sad most of my life, you know. I actually had a pretty just easygoing life, and of course here and there some things which go up and down. But so last year I actually had quite something that also was a major shift that happened with me. So my boyfriend at the time, and I was 3 months pregnant, and he actually committed suicide. And it was the most difficult thing that I've gone through ever in my life. And I could immediately tell, obviously, I was so thankful at that time just to have my baby still within me, because I don't know how I would have gotten up every day or did anything any day. So that gave me so much strength. And I could immediately see that willingness that I still had to keep going for my baby, for my son, you know. that immediately also attracted like all of this goodness into my life. I had so many angels looking out for me at that time, just people, you know, just coming and caring for me and being there for me. And I could see that by my own strength to keep on going, you know, not giving up, I could see other people were just doing the same. They were just there and life was responding. And it's the most amazing thing to become aware of these things, because you realize just how much power you have. And it's not always, you know, you need to go out and do something. It's when you even just make a decision, it's just like this energy is just locked, and it's immediately like you just start attracting to it. And it's the most amazing thing to have that, to have the awareness of that. Yeah. So this is like, I could just recommend this kind of work, or just this knowledge just to anyone, you know, just do it for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I remember, I mean, Vivi as well, you know, when that when that happened with you. Sure. I mean, it was a crazy, crazy time. And I look at you now and just where you're at, and in such a short space of time. It's not even a year that happened. And you've got your baby, you know, and you've just gone through these amazing transformations and just bloomed, you know. And I think one of the things I really identified with was because as well, I mean, in my life, it was similar when Hannes was killed in a hijacking. My son at the time was 10. And I knew that I needed to be there for him. He wasn't my son's biological father, but had been since the age of 2.5. He'd been my partner. And so was the only father that he kind of knew. So it wasn't just me that was feeling the loss, but my son as well. And just having to pull through for that. And really the power of prayer and the desire. Because for me, it was just like somewhere in me, I always knew there was a much greater calling than what I was doing. And as I said, with the help of my sister, who at the time was an astrologer and still is, helped me understand what I need, what I was going through. That was what I needed. So strongly identified, obviously, with you when you had that tragedy occur, and knowing full well the power that lies within such a tragedy. And once you shift that tragedy and you turn it into something beautiful, I really got to the stage of saying, Hannes died for me. And that is a very crazy thing for a lot of people to understand. But had it not been for his death in the way that he went, because he was murdered and I identified the body, and to actually see that was the craziest thing, to ID your person that you've loved for so long in that way. And I remember while I was there at the mortuary, just his voice right here saying, it's only my body, I'm right here. That for me was probably, I just went calm immediately. And I did what I needed to do, signed the documents I needed to do. I said, I want his clothes, please. And they said, are you sure? I said, yes, I want his clothes, please. Put them in the cupboard. I obviously didn't look at them. And then eventually, a few weeks later, I asked my nanny to wash them for me. And that for me was the turning point. Just understanding that we never die. Our spirit lives on. And because of that, I do the work I do today. So that, you know, I completely identify and understand the power of a tragedy or a trauma. And we all experience traumas in different ways, you know. Everyone has their, and I remember at the time, my sister's boyfriend saying, the worst thing I've ever experienced was being fired from my job. And my sister said, how can you say that? And it was not at all about that. It's like, I said, it's absolutely fine. That's what he identified with. You know, you can't, people deal with things at different times in different ways.
Yeah.
So everyone has their tragedy, whatever that is. Thea, your house burned down. And funny that you said that, Thea, because I often say, you know, and when we work with the 3 steps of Kriya Yoga, which is the yoga of transformation, so to speak, and yoga not being a physical practice, by the way, yoga doesn't mean a physical practice. That's an asana. In other words, the postures. So the physical practice of yoga is just a limb of yoga. But the Kriya Yoga, and the first step is the tapas, you know, where I always say, when your house burns down, if your house burns down, or your mother runs away with your boyfriend or your husband or something, and believe you me, that happens, okay? I didn't just suck that out of my thumb. I've dealt with certain people that that's happened to. You got to stand there and say, thank you, God. Thank you. I'm not sure what I'm saying thank you for, but I'm saying thank you. And that happened not too long ago here when I was under siege, when they broke in and they did whatever, and there was just glass all over, and me giving chase to what was going on, you know, trying to just wake up. And I just stood there and I said, thank you, God, that I'm safe, because I knew that was a very close shave for me. I knew that I needed, that was something very close, a close shave. Let's leave it there for now. But just saying, thank you, God, show me what I need to learn through this experience. And seriously, within 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, I understood the whole picture completely. And it was shown to me what I needed to see, how it needed to happen, why it happened, how it lifted my frequency. And it would not have happened unless I was ready for it, you know? So stuff like that is really beautiful, and you can turn it around and make it into something. The gold, you know, that's when the alchemy occurs. It's when the gold, when we take that lead and we turn it into that gold, because that gives us the richness of spirit, man. We are so enriched in our spirit because we are enriched in the sense that we have compassion now. We have understanding. We come from a place of non-judgment. You know, and these are the tools that healers need, you know, not someone who's gone and done a healing course and on one weekend. And I don't mean to scoff anyone. I think every single person has their ability, and honestly, please, that's not what I'm saying. But the point I'm making is that just because you have it on paper does not mean that you know how to do it. So you really go through these experiences on a very deep level. And when you move into that inner alchemy, and the alchemy occurs from that deep place within you, that's a very beautiful thing, because that's when you are the healer. That's when you step into the role of being the healer. And I'm a healer. All of you sitting here are healers. And it's a beautiful feeling to know that we can hold space for another in a wonderful way. Morning. You've been very quiet for the last 10 minutes.
I'm just waiting for my moment.
I know. It's like some of the viewers at Aquarius Rising Africa said, Morning's so quiet. I went, no, he's not.
No, my friends also laugh at that comment. My friends are there. He doesn't stop talking. Give him this floor, he just starts talking. But I'm just thinking here, I'm trying to pinpoint where my point was. And really, because I've been working with Chantelle for so many years, doing this inner work, I've discovered so many pinpoints, because when you really go back, you discover all these like key places in your life that has shaped you who you are. And you can't discover that if you don't go do that inner work. But I think the major point was just before I met Chantelle, I was like breaking down, and my teeth was falling out of my mouth. My relationship was chaos. My addictions was out of control. And I've always had a relationship with God, you know, always. I talk with God constantly all my life. And that's the difference with having a relationship with God and being in alignment with God. I wasn't in alignment with God, but I always had a relationship, you know, and God never abandoned me.
That's actually a very, very good point to make, by the way, Mornay. I'm glad you brought that up. Sorry to interrupt you, but I want to just while we're on that point, you're right. you can have a relationship with God, which I've also had, you know, all through my childhood, my years, everything, especially with the gift I had, and being told I'm a devil's child and nonsense like that. I was angry a lot of the time. That's part of what gave me my frustration. But having and knowing, I always knew I was a child of God. But it was like I was there, God was there, we were talking like that. And I had to move into that alignment. So that's a very good point you've just made there. And then you feel it, you know it, you feel it. It's there, it's there, it's there, it's there, it's there. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, exactly. And then I can remember I fell down on my knees. I said, God, I need help now. I'm slumped. Because I always think I had to do it myself. Even when I was with God, it's like, God, I got to do it myself. I was adamant because my greatest thing was I wanted to be the best parent in the world. I wanted to give kids what I was lacking. So I had this drive that I had to know myself. I had to do myself. You know, God is always there, but I have to do it. So that day I just crashed down and then I prayed, God, I need help, but I don't want a preacher and I don't want a doctor because none of those two mothers, they just BS. I don't want them. And then like 2 weeks afterwards, I met Chantelle. And
I'm the outside horse that nobody backs, boy.
And at that stage, I didn't even know about spiritual leaders. I mean, I was spiritual all my life. I was connected. I could feel energy, but I was very much connected with my heart, emotions, and mind. It was the only thing that mattered. And I abused my body. So I didn't understand that your body is also energy. And then you came along and it was just perfect. And I can remember, I think for the first 5 years, at least, you keep telling me the same thing. Out of your head and into your body, out of your head and into your body. And I just struggled so much. I needed to understand that emotions is in your heart, but your feelings are in your body. Your thoughts are in your body. It's not just this going on here. Your whole body is full of feelings and emotions. And that's when I started to integrate and start working my energies and start feeling my energies. That's how I started to remember things in my past, not just the bad things. And that whole process of remembering who you are again and reconnecting to that body again was the most amazing experience of my life. And still is. I mean, it's not done yet, but that first 5 to 10 years of doing this is the most amazing because that's how you really get used to working with energy. And I think nobody's been taught how to work with energies. Thank God for Chantelle. I really thank God for Chantelle because I
thank God for you too, Angel. Really, I do.
I mean, I worked out numerology when I was in college without knowing anything about numerology. I was sitting with God and God taught me numerology, that there was numbers and vowels. I mean, I had all this, but I didn't know how to integrate it in my body or how to work my body with all the blockages that we put up as we grow older. So this alchemy, this inner work and really understanding how to work with your feelings. And like Viviana says, once you make a decision and suddenly it's here. It's like me and my family, I had so much, I mean, I come from a broken family and this one part of my family, we always struggled to have this relationship. And I was always struggling to connect with this person, even through my meditations. They just blocked me. And this one time with Art of Alchemy, I think it was the last one we did, I realized my own jealousy. I realized my own little thing that I locked away when I was a child because it's a nasty feeling. You're not supposed to feel those feelings. But that one drop of jealousy that I had that moment is what caused so much stuff between us without me knowing. And when I dissolved that the next day or that moment, he called me and our relationship was better. So the alchemy is so amazing. So I can't even start to talk about all the stories of how that inner alchemy, that's when you start becoming aligned with God. That's when you start activating the God-given right of free will, of healing. God gave us this. God created us in his image, like they say. So we've got that potential inside of us. And that's the alignment that I'm talking about. Once you get that alignment, it's all different thing. Then you don't talk to God like I did so much. then it's like God it's here with you. It helps you. It's a feeling. Suddenly it's a sound, now and again a whisper. But mostly it's like with animal communication. Once you do that a lot, your animals don't come sit here and tell you lots of stories. They want to eat with you. They want to love with you. They want to play with you. It's not about higher wisdoms and stories and secrets of the cosmos. That's the real relationship that you start having with God. Because once you get into that alignment, you feel each other, so you don't need to talk that much anymore. So that for me is probably the best thing that happened in my life, to actually start just seeing it, feeling it. And it's not something that it's perfect all the time. It's a daily job, but at least it's there and you know it. And I think if the world starts moving into this direction, we're going to see a whole new world where we don't need cell phones, we don't need WhatsApp, we don't need anything. We just like connect with each other with our hearts and our minds, telecommunicate, no need for teleportations. We could have conversations somewhere else in the astral world. But yeah, anyways, that's just my. And also, yeah, I wanted to say with the currency, energy being currency, if you look at charities, it's easy to give like money to a charity and then you feel good as a company because you've given something and you look good on the books. But it's different when you, like I did a lot of work with children in the rural areas, like the art classes I did. When you go in there and you give your energy, spend time with those kids, it's so much more money worth. Those kids light up. They remember that experience for the rest of their life. They learn something that they can create something out of blue and red, you know. That kind of energy for me is the currency. It's like, it's the real currency. It's that when you share your energy, your love,
that connection.
Yeah,
the connection,
the
actual connection, the
behind
human connection.
absolutely. And that fulfills your soul. It enriches your soul. That's something you cannot. I can't put value onto that, because there's one child maybe that changes that child's life forever. I mean, and that child goes out and changes 5 other people's life, and those 5 other people become a president or a doctor, and they change. So it's really something. If you look at currency being energy,
priceless.
Yeah,
absolutely. Money is good. We need money for the charity as well, but I mean, it's
yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's the intent behind the energy. If you're just gonna want to look good on paper and in the books and whatever, and you give out your money, that energy is not gonna come back in that way to you. Sure. You know, like you go with that energy to the kiddies in the rural, it's really with that intent to help them and guide them. So yeah, you get that back.
To really share and pay it forward and share your gifts. You know, we are all born with gifts. We've got to discover what gift we have, and that's up to us through doing the internal work. And then it's up to us to share our gifts, because gifts are meant to be shared, right? Yeah. So when you share your gifts, that's wonderful. I remember when I did my yoga teacher training in India, I came back and I arrived in Johannesburg on my birthday. So I flew back and I arrived back in South Africa on my birthday. And what was so amazing, because I was at the airport in Johannesburg for a couple of hours before I caught my connecting flight back home. And I'd obviously bought a whole lot of gifts for people. And I'd met with 2 or 3 of my friends while I was waiting at the airport. So they came to the airport and we're having lunch or coffee or whatever. And I was giving people gifts on my birthday. It was such a good feeling. And also when I got home, and then, you know, when Dom came to fetch me and what have you, I was giving him gifts on my birthday, you know. It was just such a good feeling to be able to do that. And then I thought, wow, this is what I'm going to be doing every year. And I must say, I try and do that at least with 1 or 2 people on my birthday. I like to give, like, for example, my mom and I are going out for dinner later on. And I always like to then tip the waiter double or triple what I usually would. Thank you. You know, here's my gift. That's so cool. Just stuff like that. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool.
I think any advanced soul in this world will know the greatest joy in life is to give.
Yeah, it is.
At the end of the day, being human, the greatest thing about being human is that giving, that sharing, that connection.
But I want to say something here as well, because a lot of people think that that's what they have to do in order to be accepted as well. There's a very fine balance between that. In order to give, you have to know how to receive as well, because the heart chakra is all about giving and receiving. So you've got to learn how to receive for yourself, because there are a lot of people who also want to give, but we go, no, it's okay, it's okay. No, it's okay, it's okay. And we end up expending energy or resources all the time and giving. I see that a lot, for example, with people that are, for example, coming in and, you know, you want to say, work with animals or stuff like that and what have you. And then you kind of have to say, well, okay. And a lot of these ladies give. And they don't really take time to receive and give back to themselves. And that's fundamentally what it's about. So it's being able to give and receive, that the infinity. Yeah. But anyway, I think, guys, our time is up. So it is so beautiful to have you all here today on our brand new channel. So thank you so much for being part of my birthday today and launching our new channel, because it really is all of ours. We're all going to be partaking in different areas within this. So I want to say thank you for each and every one of you for being here today and being part of my journey as well, and being part of the team and just doing amazing things, because even though it's a short time that we've all been together, you guys are really, really, really doing amazing things. So thank you. God bless you all.
Pleasure. Thanks, Shanti.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And happy birthday, Shanti.
Happy birthday, lots of love.
Enjoy.
I can't wait to see us all together again. It's amazing, even though we all in this world. We're not even
also saying happy birthday.
Oh, hello, Astra.
He just got excited with everybody.
Yeah, give him a hug. Oh, look at him, Astra. Oh, I know Astra probably is a tiny little puppy as well. Okay, guys and girls, thank you so much for watching, and I'm sure you love the team as much as what I do, so I thought it'd be a great time just to introduce all our viewers to you guys. So thank you so much for joining us on our maiden voyage on the new Solutions channel. And if you haven't already, please give us a like, a share, and subscribe, leave us a comment, and just enjoy and join us again. In fact, we are on again, I think tomorrow. Yes, we are, with Catherine Edwards. Mona and I will be interviewing Catherine Edwards, who's the, you've probably seen me on her channel a few times, and Mona has been there, talking about animals and her amazing journey with animals and what she does and how important they are in our lives, and not just as domestic animals, but for our planet as well. So God bless you all. Take good care. See you soon.
Bye.